Teaching and Learning Committee of the Waukesha Board of Education to order. So our general business, the meeting was properly posted, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Thank you, Stacy. Moving on for opportunity for citizens to speak. Is there anyone that would like to address the committee? Seeing nobody, moving on to our Bright Lights presentation. Today, we will be hearing about the Bethesda grounds cleanup, getting ready for back to school. We always love this presentation. Community at work. Welcome. Ooh. That's all right. We're getting the PowerPoint ready.
Yes. So maybe while we're doing that, these fine young students could introduce themselves and talk
Great.
about what grade they're in. We do that? We could start over with you, Jack.
Hello, I'm Jack. I'm in 4th grade.
Great.
I'm Ava and I'm in second. I'm Claire and I'm in second. I'm Sedona and I'm in 4th grade. I'm Lainey and I'm in 4th grade too.
Welcome. Glad to see you.
Good.
Of course, and then my MacBook is there too.
No, we
So
enjoy
I am
having
setting up
students,
the
don't we?
presentation. So we were talking about what we were going to talk about today, and I have a little bit of a presentation. I was lucky enough to have a number of these kids help out over at Bethesda over the summer.
We like the opposite.
And why don't we go ahead and talk about a little bit what we did over the summer for Bethesda.
Okay.
So we can start with Jack. What was yours all about?
Like recycling. We recycled empty toothpaste bottles, empty like floss stuff, and toothbrushes. And also like voted to win a playground.
Wow. That's great.
Go. You guys go.
I'll get this up and going. Sorry about that.
You know, I'm gonna give you something to think about. Okay,
There you go.
Bethesda's real special to me, but you have to find out why. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you, and nobody in this room is gonna tell you. You have to find that out. Okay.
So obviously what we're talking about today is not scripted. I did get a chance to connect with every kid today, and we talked about a little bit of what we were going to talk about tonight. And so as we can see with our new mascot up there as well, that's our new Bobcat mascot, we have adopted the saying, we are all Bethesda. And so we've been saying that for the last 2 years, and we'll continue to say it. So what was the first assembly like today, this morning? What did we do? Who did we introduce? Go ahead, Sarah.
We introduced all the teachers and the aides and the specialties and all of the other teachers that help us out.
Yeah, all. And why do we do that? Why is it important that we talk about all of us together? Anybody? You guys could just, Jack?
So everyone could get to know each other.
Yeah. And why is that important?
For the new kids and
Okay.
stuff.
For new students and too, like we're all together, we're all helping each other, right? You help your classmates out. We get help from Mrs. Rochelle if she's in the office, Mrs. Oswald, we're talking about Mr. Steve. And so we really talk about we are all Bethesda. And when we talk about the Bright Lights, what was really cool about what happened were 10 plus families and a Brownie troop, 10497, came to Bethesda on Sunday, August 5th for our second annual Bethesda Grounds Cleanup, right? So we talk about, tell us a little bit about that. Sedona, what did you end up doing that day?
So after I raked up all the mulch, I went to 2 stops and I picked up all of these weeds, and it was like 50-pound weeds, and it was
She's
like,
not exaggerating. They were big.
Ava and Claire had to help me drag it to the garbage can. It was super heavy. Yeah, I had 2 steps. I had to go to the Martins and to where the flowers are, and it took a long time to do it, and there was like 50 loads to pick up.
Did you find out what that 50-pound weed was? Does it have a name?
I think it was a treat.
50-pound weed? No, it was just a lot of weeds put together, and then there was one huge, ginormous one, which, yeah.
Wow.
So we had 30 kids and parents there on that Sunday morning to help. get our grounds back in order. And we had lots of nice things going on over the year too. The summer, we got a new paint job and we got new pavement. And so it was really nice to see everybody come together as we were all Bethesda. So these are some of the pictures there. As we talked about, everybody just getting along and just doing the work that needed to be done to make Bethesda the nice looking school building that it is, so that we could have great pictures, right? And how many of you were able to sit in front and get some nice pictures this morning by the sign? Yeah, lots of you, right? That's a favorite spot. So then we talk about too, like this new thing that was happening, it was called the Bethesda Gardens. We'd like to talk a little about that. What happened at the end of school last year? Yeah.
We planted these one gardens to have vegetables, flowers, and any people could pick the vegetables.
Yeah. So we have a garden bed for each grade level, and they're able to plant some of the things that were unique, and they're trying to tie that right into the curriculum. And so I have some pictures of that too. This was somebody want to talk about that wall that we struggled with right there?
Okay, so it was getting really loose, and so Mr. Martin and his kids and I was watching so I could take the weeds, and they had to take it all apart, and then they had to pave and put the stuff on, and then they had to set the bricks on, and it took a long time.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and they looked pretty sweaty. I mean, sitting down in the sun, setting it down.
It takes all of us for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's towards the end of the year as we started to plant those gardens, and now all of a sudden we have that as that continues to grow. Again, that was just started out last year as the beds were just put in last summer, and right now that's what we have. We have some rain barrels that our art program went ahead and painted, and is growing into something pretty cool. We got butterfly gardens out there and lots of vegetables and pretty cool things. And like Jack was talking about a little bit too as well, as we were very fortunate to win a playground. So tell us a little bit about that. What did you guys have to do in order to make this happen?
Recycle. Voting, recycling toothpaste, empty toothpaste.
It was through TerraCycle, Myers, and Colgate. And TerraCycle is known for recycling things that normally aren't thought about being recycled, so dental products. And so our kids were collecting dental products. Our families were out talking to different organizations to get as many dental products as we could, and you get credits for that. Long story short, we're the first school in Wisconsin to win this playground, so it's really exciting. We're going to have a big ribbon cutting ceremony in a few weeks. The kids don't know that quite yet, but that's going to be communicated out.
Now we know.
We're coordinating that. It's coming. And so we're going to have that installed mid-September, and it took all of us, right?
Yeah.
And Jack's garage probably smelled like a minty fresh for lots of recycled products coming through that garage, right?
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to share with this group?
So when we had to vote, it was every single day on our iPads, and we had to write our email, our name, and our school, and yeah.
Into the summer. I mean, this
Yeah,
contest ended
into the
in
summer.
June, so the kids carried that on as well. We had lots of great community members that continued to do that, sent out lots of reminders, and
Yeah,
it really did
parents
take
did
all
too.
of us to win the playground competition. So we're real excited about that. We're excited that we're going to have some nice things out there, and we continue to grow. And really, it takes all of us, right, guys? Anything else you want to share with this group?
No.
Now it's time to go
they
home
wanna-
and do your homework and.
Jeremy?
Yeah.
That was very interesting about, there's a company involved with, I didn't quite get the name of the company and what they will recycle that we don't normally recycle. Could you
Yeah,
make?
yeah. TerraCycle is a worldwide organization.
TerraCycle?
Worldwide organization that is known for recycling things that normally aren't thought about being recycled, and in this case, dental products. So there's awareness in the community to recycle some of those things.
Okay.
And so we're going to continue to do that because we'll continue to receive credits for that. And obviously that really netted us something pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so it's in combination with Colgate and as well with Meyer. And so as Meyer's expanding out this way as well, we were the first school in Wisconsin to take this home. So it's exciting. Yeah. Any questions from any of you?
Questions, comments?
Questions you guys got for that? No questions? We know it's going to come out. This isn't scripted, so
Alrighty,
Oh, thank you.
fantastic.
Thanks,
Thanks
guys.
for all your hard work.
Oh, I'd like to say
Oh,
something.
Mrs. Brezink.
I was very impressed with the sunflower that you had there in your garden. Do you know how many flowers that you had on that one stem? Do you know? Does anybody know? You think you know? What do you think? 2, 3? What do you think?
4.
4? You think 4?
You're right.
I think it was more. Because you know what? I think a squirrel or a rabbit or whoever put a seed in the ground at my house and a sunflower plant came up, and you know how many flowers are on there? And that's why I'm asking you. 14. So you go count. I'll bet you got more than 4.
Lots.
You count that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Alrighty,
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Mrs. Brenzek knows Bethesda represents us.
Alrighty, moving on to our action items on our agenda. Our first action item is approval of the teaching and learning minutes from the June 2018 meeting.
I don't
We're a
remember.
little bit behind, I know, tell me about it. So I'd be looking for a motion for that.
I move to accept the meetings, the minutes from the teaching and learning meeting in June, May, June.
It's been a while.
as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Brezink. Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Roddy. Any discussion on the minutes? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Excellent, 5-0. Our next action item is approval of some overnight field trip requests. As you know, we'll be approving these as they come in. We're not going to be doing a big book like we used to do. So, this is the latest batch. Looking for a motion? Yes, Mr.?
Well, before I get into a motion, I want to
Okay.
point something out because
Okay.
there might be some, not controversy, but some discussion.
Okay.
Got to get to the right place. You'll remember that we passed a policy recently on overnight field trips or out-of-state field trips, restricting them to grades 9 through 12 for various reasons. We do have one in here from Butler Middle School. We have chatted about this, Joe and I, and Stacy as well has been involved with this because there was some question about, well, this is listed as a post-eighth grade group that'll be going to this. They are not a middle school
Right.
kid group. So,
Right.
Joe, you've looked into it, and we are prepared, I guess. Maybe you want to share?
Yeah, just two things. One, because the policy was changed when it was changed, there's going to be a couple of field trips that may come in front of the committee this year where exceptions to the policy may need to be made. And those would be things that the planning began on already, and there was some discussion and some fundraising that had started based off of the old policy rules. The other part of this is the field trip does take place after middle school is over. Those kids then technically have been promoted on to high school. And doctors may view their maturity different because they are now a high school age student. So there's some work that the school will do. The nurses are going to continue to review things. The school will have to designate people, but it's going to be a little bit different than how it's been handled in the past.
Okay. Excellent.
With
Yes,
that,
sir.
I will move for approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dietz is a second. Any discussion? Yes, Mrs. Brezink.
Joe, you know, I think that $1,951 is a little pricey, but it's not the school's fault. Because really, you figure they travel 2 days, and they really only spend 3 days in New York. I realize that, you know, you get to New York in 2 hours, and so depending what time of the day they arrive and what time of the day they leave, I think that that's a pricey for 3 days in New York. But it's
It
not the
is.
school's fault, it's just the
Right,
way.
it is
the
an
nature.
expensive trip.
It is.
And one of the things that, you know, one of the reasons why we adjusted the policy to be an 18-month approval is because of the amount of fundraising that's needed.
Yes, yes.
You know, the old policy was such that schools could, you know, begin planning these trips without committee approval. And then you'd get to the point where you as a committee were, your hands were tied because you had to say yes. If you didn't say yes, all that fundraising money would be left in lurch.
Right.
Because of this timeline, students can essentially fund this whole thing if they are ambitious with their fundraising. So it can reduce the burden on families.
I just wouldn't want to have anybody excluded because of the price. That's what
You know,
concerns me.
this trip is an optional trip. It's
Yes.
not a mandatory
I
trip.
know.
You know, our schools have done a really good job of helping families out when it's been something that is more mandatory, and making sure that, no kid is barred from going
right,
because of
right,
financial reasons.
right.
And again, with, 10 months, 11 months of time to do some fundraising, an ambitious student who needs the
It's true.
assistance can do the fundraising to
Right.
get there.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Alrighty, we'll take them all at once. All those in favor of approving the current batch of field trips? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, 5-0. Excellent. Alrighty. That brings our action items to a close. And we're moving on to our information items. Our first information item would be reading state statute, education process goals. Who's the lucky one today? Oh, there she is. Thanks for taking time.
Yeah, good evening. I love talking about reading, so
Oh, I know.
I'm glad that I'm here with y'all tonight. As you stated, each year we are required to give an annual report on reading and early literacy assessment in the district. Want to share with you some data, if you'll take a look up at the screen. In our early learning, so 4K through second grade, we use the PALS assessment to get a gauge on where our earliest learners are with their reading readiness. And in 4K, they look at skills such as name writing, identifying uppercase, lowercase letters, letter sounds, beginning sound awareness, print and word awareness, and rhyme awareness. When you're looking up at the screen, the green is the fall, so the beginning of the year assessment. The blue represents the middle of the year assessment, and yellow represents the end of the year. So you can see that our 4K educators and our 4K students are having a wonderful time learning together in their setting, and our 4K learners are going to kindergarten well prepared with skills that lead them to higher levels of reading. So PALS assessment continues on in kinder, first, and second grades. And last year I came and shared that first column, what our scores were in spring of 2016. Or 2017, and so in kindergarten we were at 84%. Last year our kindergartners in spring of 2018 were at 88%, and this is the number of students who are at or above the benchmark. In first grade in spring of 2017, those students were at 85%, and last year's first graders at the end of the year were at we had 83% of our students at benchmark. Then with second grade, we had 77%. Last year, we were at 78%. So we really feel that this is a good measure of how our students are doing. In kindergarten, we look at phonological awareness, alphabet knowledge, letter knowledge, beginning spelling concepts, concepts of a word, and word recognition and isolation. And so that's words, those sight words, those high frequency words that students should know, such as is, the, those kinds of
In K-5.
things. In K-5 at the end of the year. They
At the
have
end
to
of the
know
year, okay.
some of those
Yeah.
words. Then in
Melissa?
first, yes,
Before you leave, oh, you haven't leaving it.
I won't leave yet. But ask your question.
Good. Your kindergarten,
Yes.
2017-18, do you separate that at all, the kids that went in, there were 4K that came in and the kids that didn't come in from 4K? And can you tell if there's a significant difference?
I did not separate the data in this. We do believe that our students who are in 4K are coming to us in school more prepared for school with their understanding of school and the routines. They're better prepared with the foundational skills in literacy, mathematics, and the social emotional skills that they are ready for, which if 4K, and their big goal this year is making sure that students are self-regulated, and they're really working very heavily on the social emotional. We know if individuals have that, they're more ready to learn, and you can even see that if you look back at 4K data and you're looking at that green compared to the yellow, and so they're set up for success when they enter kindergarten.
If I look at the yellows, you're up there in the high 80s and 90s,
90s,
which is where you ended up with.
Yep, the high 80s, we have 2 areas in
Yeah.
low 90s, so
They're
we're very
coming-
proud of
They're coming
that.
in well prepared.
Yes,
That's what we like to hear.
yes.
Thank you.
I wanted to just show a quick example of what a sample question would look like at the kindergarten PALS level. And so this is in the area of rhyme awareness. And you can see that there's just 4 pictures there. So students aren't being introduced to having to read a word or in print, but we ask them about which word here would rhyme with sheep. And so we would say, what word sounds the same as sheep? Put your finger on sheep. And then we'd say foot, jeep, girl. And they have to listen, so they're just doing it's phonological. They're listening for those sounds and having to identify from the pictures listening to you what sounds.
Is this K4
alike.
or K5?
No, this is K5. This is kindergarten. And then I wanted to move on to our upper grades and share data from our measure of academic progress assessment that we use for reading and math. I wanted to point out that in 2017-18, we did not assess our students using MAP in kindergarten and first grade in reading because we have the PALS assessment that gives us that same information, and we wanted to make sure that we are not over-assessing our youngest learners. And so that is why those are blacked out, because we have the information that we need and we don't need another assessment. And so that's why that is blocked out. So that was a change that was made last year. So if you look at second grade, we are at second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. We're staying fairly flat from 2017 to 2018, and so we hope to be increasing more students who are at or above grade level on this assessment. So we don't want to stay flat, we want or go down. We want to continue to move students forward, and feel that we will as we continue to implement CLM and our resources that we have for educators in the classroom. As you know, sometimes when we're looking at students at the universal level, sometimes we have students who will need more support. And one of our additional supports that we have in all 8 of our title buildings is reading recovery. And reading recovery is an early intervention. We know that the earlier we intervene with students, the better off academically they will be. And so this data here shows our reading recovery data from last school year. So blue represents the school district of Waukesha, orange represents the nation. And with reading recovery, which is reading recovery in English, we had 78% of our students reading benchmark. Reading recovery is about a 20-week program for students, and so if they go through the first 20 weeks of school, we'd expect them at first grade at the end of 20 weeks to be at about a reading level 12. At the end of the year of first grade, we'd expect an 18. So students who are in reading recovery for the first round, if they reach a 12, they've reached benchmark. Those who are in the second round, if they've reached an 18, would reach benchmark. And so last year we had 78% of our students reach that benchmark, where across the nation 70% of students reached benchmark with reading recovery. DLL is the Spanish version of reading recovery, so it's delivered in Spanish, and we had 64% of our students reach benchmark. Nationally, 61% reached benchmark. So Once again, we combined both of these interventions. 75% of our students in the district are reaching benchmark, exiting, and continuing to show success, whereas nationally 70% are. And so we're pretty proud of how we're doing with that. And I want to show you some long-term, over the last 3 years, of how we're doing. So green is good. And so in 2015-16, we had 55% of our students who were in reading recovery reaching benchmark. In the middle, in 2016-17, we had 58% of our students who were in reading recovery reached benchmark. And last year, we had 75% of our students. So if you remember back 2 years ago, we had Carla Bauer-Gonzalez, who is our reading recovery facilitator in the district, share that each year that we have reading recovery, those who are delivering it are getting better. They have more people to collaborate with, and so our data should be going up. And as you can see, that huge jump from 2016-17 school year to last school year having 75% is a big, huge increase.
What is the population that you're measuring here? I mean, what level?
So it's the students who are in the intervention. So we have 8.
This is the intervention
Yeah,
only
this is,
students.
so all the intervention only students, yes. So the students who received the intervention, of those students, last year 75% of them met benchmark, whereas in 2015-16, only 55 of those did.
How did we do in relation to other districts in Wisconsin? You had the national.
I had the national, I don't have that data with me, but it's something that I could get you. Last year in one survey of Illinois and Wisconsin, I believe we were ranked 3rd of all the districts in Wisconsin and Illinois. So we're doing really well and having each year doing better. So we're very excited about that. So any questions that you have?
I have a couple of questions. May I? Okay. The 4-year-old literacy performance,
Yes.
is that delivered one-on-one, or you certainly don't sit kids down with a piece of paper?
Okay. Some of the assessment is in groups.
Okay.
Small groups, some is in whole group, and some is one-on-one.
Okay,
Yes.
but kids aren't. I just want to make sure, I mean, I think I know, but I believe that you don't sit kids down with a paper test when they're 4 years old.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yes.
How about 5-year-olds? Do you
Same thing, all the way up. There are certain parts that are whole class, some that you can give in small group, and some that are one-on-one.
And I'm wondering, why do we use 2 tests? We use PALS and we use Mars.
And-
Why
and
do we
MAP.
use 2 maps?
Yes, because PALS is just an early literacy. It only looks at those early literacy skills for reading, where MAP looks at as reading and math. There's also other areas that we don't use in our district, such as they added science a few years ago and language. And like I said, we want to make sure that we're assessing our students for information that can help guide us without over-assessing our students. And so we had, before the state required PALS, it was required by the state. Then the state came and said, you can choose what your screener is, and we thought PALS was the best, so we stuck with PALS. And then we took MAP off the plate for our kindergarten and first graders because we were getting the information we needed and didn't want to over-assess.
When in the school year do you test the 4-year-olds?
The 4-year-olds, it's 3 times a year, so it's at the beginning, the middle, and the end. But as I showed you in that one question, that was a question from kindergarten. It really is about wordplay, so it's very fun for the students to do and doesn't really feel like an assessment.
There's a percentage of kids that don't go to 4-year-old kindergarten,
Oh,
correct?
correct.
And so therefore, there has to be special accommodations made in K-5 because you've got experienced learners and
Yes.
non-experienced learners.
Yes.
So that's got to be a real challenge. And you have kids who are familiar with literacy skills and kids that are
Right.
not, so.
And it's great, and so many times our learners are the ones who help each other and get them used to the routine and work together with them in groups, as well as we've got, as you know, great educators here in our early learning.
I just, want everyone to know that we don't give kids paper and pencil tests when they're 4 and
No.
Four-year-old kindergarten and
No,
five-year-old
ma'am.
kindergarten. That would be most inappropriate.
Yes.
And for, some kids don't go to 4K, and then they come to 5K, and.
And it's
they're-
their first experience.
Yeah, and they're competing with kids that have this rich experience about going to 4K,
Yep.
right?
Right, and the goal of this information is to help guide our instruction, to give them experiences to become
Thank you.
readers. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
Rest.
Impressive.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thanks.
Alrighty, our next information item would be a Summer Institute update.
Good evening.
Welcome,
Hi,
good to see you again.
good to see you all as well. I'm happy to be in front of you this evening just to give you a recap. Is this thing on? I don't know. It's on. Stacy said it's on, okay. Of Summer Institute, so that was last week, it feels like so long ago, but that was just last week where we had 2.5 days of learning modules for teachers where they got to pick their schedule for the most part, and we saw Mr. Dietz there on the first day with his sign, so that was exciting. We had, I think in your packet, we had almost 1,100 teachers, administrators, and student services on site, and 230 presenters. So these are our own, for the almost all of them are our own teachers. We brought in a couple outside speakers, but for the most part, these are our own Waukesha teachers presenting for their peers. And we had 375 sessions. So we had lots of choice, social emotional options, literacy, math, so a variety, and people could choose their own schedule. We had it up and running in May, so actually for May faculty meetings, people were able to sign up and talk with each other. So overall, it was a success. Our surveys indicate we have over 94% agree or strongly agree that they took away information that will be applicable in your classroom or building. And so again, when you go to these PD sessions, you want to be able to walk away with something that you can utilize right away. So over 94% of those surveyed, we had about 350 people respond to the survey, which is also a very good return on a survey, state that they found it applicable and meaningful into their classroom the next day. So lots of great coordination. We had our coaches, our former coordinators, Dee, Dan, Melissa, student services with Patty and Karen and Luke, all hands on deck to plan such an outstanding first couple days back. New this year, we had a keynote speaker, so we haven't done that. Patrick Briggs is with Avid. He is he spoke at the national conference, I think about a year ago, and we received outstanding feedback about his inspirational message. So I just wanted to give you guys a little update.
Karen, I just need to comment that, years ago, we didn't do this. We didn't have summer institutes and, training during the summer, et cetera. And since, our school district, along with other school districts, have gone into this plan, learning has just increased so much in the early years for students. And our scores are so great, and our students are so successful because our teachers are so well-trained. And I really have to compliment our district on doing this. This is absolutely wonderful. Great learning opportunity, and the result is outstanding. So keep it going.
We do receive a lot of compliments from people who are new to the district.
Sure, absolutely.
Because of the rich opportunity that was provided. Based on teacher feedback years ago, when these days used to be throughout the year, and they said, I rather would have a learning day in the summer instead of in April learning this new strategy I could have been using all year long. So using that feedback to stack these days in the summer has provided a great opportunity.
Any other questions? Do the paras come to this?
We had some opt in this
Okay.
year because it's not a work day for
Right.
them. And so a couple principals had asked if some of them
Okay.
can opt into sessions that weren't full, so we didn't want them to take teacher spots
Right.
originally. And so we did have a few
Okay.
who wanted to opt into some learning
Right.
opportunities.
Excellent.
Where did you hold this? You had to have it at several sites.
Yeah, so it was at West. West usually holds the whole conference. This year, we also brought in an Avid strand, in addition to our keynote speaker, which was a great cost savings for our district and wonderful training for our teachers. So we had about 200 teachers off-site at North, which helped with the usual traffic congestion that we often experience. But otherwise, right, it was at West, which is a wonderful site.
Keep it going.
Fantastic. Mr. Dietz?
I think the big takeaway that I heard was just the fact that teachers have choice in what their professional development should be, instead of a one model fits all or someone, telling them what they need. They were able to pick what's going to benefit them in the classroom or in their own professional learning. So I think that's great, and you guys do really awesome work, and thank you for offering those kinds of opportunities for our teachers.
All right. Thank you very much. Great report, as always. Alrighty, next up for our information items will be the summer school update.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us this evening.
Definitely. Happy first day of school.
Yes.
I brought Erica Miller with me as well. We're going to highlight one of the summer school program that she led this year. Since the last day of school, we have had a lot of learning that took place. We had, let's get this set up here. We had a learning that took place at 11 different sites across our system, as well as, there we go. As well as some online options at the high school level. So this was our second year for online. Our traditional summer school program, where we have the enrichment as well as the readiness or credit recovery classes, K-12, ran 22 days this year. So it was 4 days longer than we've had in the last couple of years. So we were able to start a little bit earlier and end on July 20th, so the same time in July. And we were able to take the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday around the 4th of July off. So I got some good feedback from families about having those options. So for the third year in a row, we did increase the number of students participating in summer school. We had an increase of about 125 students. Students may have participated in multiple programs. For example, a high schooler can take an online class, a face-to-face class, as well as participate in band or the strength and agility programs. So that just counts the number of students across the district who participated in at least one offering this summer. So we also had an increase this year in the number of meals that we served. So we worked with our food service and the business office and our public relations department to really get the word out about the opportunity for students and the community, children in our community, to come and have a free breakfast or lunch during the time of summer school. So last year we averaged 287 breakfasts, and this year we were up to 338 on average a day. And then lunch, last year we served on average 503. And so we increased that to 559. So,
Do non-summer school students come and have breakfast and lunch?
They do. Not as many. Obviously, our biggest population is our students who participate in summer school. But we do have students who come in from the community, as well as younger siblings or older siblings that will come and have breakfast or lunch with their kiddos in summer school. So
Does our regular school lunch program, did they prepare the summer school?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
We have a grant from DPI that allows us to do this free of charge to our students. And yes, our food service Aramark. All of a sudden I forgot.
Great opportunity.
Yes, and I can say anecdotally, it definitely felt busier at our sites this year. So we definitely got the word out, which was nice to do. Every year we do try and offer new opportunities for our students. So these were just some of the courses that were offered or teachers suggested. Summer school principals also suggest new courses. This was just the elementary list. Not every course that's suggested gets enough enrollment to run, but those were the ones at elementary that did run this year for the first time. And then we had another newer offering. We took a year off from environmental ed last year, but we're able to offer it again this year. And Erica came with a proposal for switching it up quite a bit, and it turned out to be extremely successful. So thanks for being here to talk about it.
Sure. So one of my roles is that I run the environmental education program at EP Shirts. And last winter, when we were discussing the idea of having a summer school program, we talked about some of the barriers traditional camps have for kids. One being cost, and the other being really horrible hours for parents, like 9 to 11, which I know I could never get my kids to. So we wanted to know, we knew that if we partnered with summer school, we could eliminate that cost barrier, and if we made it full day, we open up as many kids as we could. That nature gap is a really big deal, and we want more students to access the outdoors. So we started and said, let's do 1 week, we'll cap it at 35 students because we need to be able to go indoors if necessary. We actually had to open it up into 2 weeks, so we had over 70 kids registered, plus about 25 on the waiting list. So we knew that the need was there, and we were really excited to bring these kids in. So what we did is each day of the week we had a theme, so water, plant survival, and then animals were our themes. They had a daily weather log that they would work in groups to collect. We went on nature hikes. They played a nature bingo game. They built a GPS course for the students around the whole EV short, so they basically went on a treasure hunt using GPS. They read out of the book Hatchet out loud and learned how to do do lashings. They built wood duck houses. They did a lot of, they got to use power tools, which was, my own children went to this and they thought that was the best part, was they got to use power tools, because I wouldn't let them do that. So a ton of planning went into this, but the kids had a great time. And luckily, they also said they learned a lot, which was kind of our goal. We wanted to make sure that we balanced learning, but also having fun outside. At the end, we also did a survey, because this is our first time doing such a big project. We want to know what families thought. And all of our responses were either 4s and 5s, that they either strongly agreed or agreed that this was an excellent experience for their students, which was really wonderful to hear. And this was my favorite quote, which I don't really usually read off of slides, but this one I think is really powerful, from a parent. When we just asked for general comments. She said that, "I didn't know what to expect, as this was the first time enrolling my boys in an environmental ed program. I was so pleasantly surprised it was so well organized. I knew what to expect from opening and closing emails. I was able to share it with the boys to relieve their anxiety about trying something new. The staff was very professional and the activities were age appropriate and hands-on. What a neat asset the Fox River programs provide to the Waukesha School District. I will definitely be enrolling my boys again next year. Thank you for all the time the staff put into it." So we were really happy with the results. We were excited to brainstorm what we can do next year to try to get more kids, and also make sure that we can maybe get some more teachers to help lead some of these really great activities.
I've already had my first, what are the summer school dates for next year? So I think summer school is now year-round planning, so we're excited about that.
So did you operate the program out of the Fox River
We did,
area?
yeah, at the
Okay.
EV Shirts building.
Okay, the Sheriff's Building, great. So if it rained, you had someplace to go? and-
Exactly. So
Right.
that was why we tried to keep our numbers around
Right,
35, so
right,
we
right.
could fit.
Great opportunity.
Any questions?
Mr. Baumgart.
Yeah, a couple of comments and a question. First of all, I really have to applaud you on what we've done with summer school to make it not just for the dumb kids, stuff like that,
Yeah.
What a shame that was, and you are using the summer to help that, enrich it. It's wonderful that it's growing like that rate. And the fact that it's growing because you are coming up with ideas. Just the one you just shared with us, I think, Erica, is very important. I have often told teachers that are coming to this district that we encourage our staff to come up with ideas. They don't all come from us, thank heavens. But, so I would applaud that and appreciate the expansion and the changing of the attitude towards summer school and what we're doing with that. I do have one question that fits in here, I think. A lot of this is enriching and stuff like that, but we also have an issue always about the kids over the course of the summer that forget everything they learned over the last 9 months. Where in the summer school do we do something to keep them thinking about all the curriculum they've been through for the last 9 months? So that we don't have that, I don't know, there's a word for it.
Summer slide.
Just
The
that
slide,
summer
the summer
slide, yes.
So that at least some of the kids are not sliding so bad.
Right.
Where does that fit in here?
Well, a couple of different places. First of all, everything that we offer has some kind of curricular connection. So
Okay.
there's some math or reading or writing or critical thinking that goes into it. And then we also offer some book clubs and
Saw one of them up there.
yeah, so different things like that that maybe aren't don't have the intensiveness of some of our readiness programs for kids who are really at risk, but still have that kind of academic connection. And that's something that, or maybe a stronger academic connection than some of our other enrichment classes. I will tell you those types of courses are something that parents are always very interested in. Students aren't always as excited about those opportunities, and so we have to be a little creative to get the kids to sign up for those opportunities. Particularly at the middle school level, there have been a couple of different things that we've tried that we haven't had the enrollment to be able to run those courses. But we are always thinking about how we can continue to offer those.
Are there some kids that are there purely because they need the academic part of it, the intervention type kids?
Yes, but we offer, each student who needs intervention would take a reading course and then a math course if they needed both. And we offer at least 3 sections every day, so every student has the opportunity to take something that isn't an intensive class. So even if you do have the need to have that reading class and that math class, and that's what your parents have signed you up for, you can still sign up for a cooking class or one of our other enrichment opportunities that maybe seems a little more fun. Although when I'm visiting schools, pretty much everybody seems to be having fun in some way or another. So
Great. We learn better when we're having fun.
absolutely.
Thank you, and
So,
appreciate your
yeah.
contribution here.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that, Mr. Baumgart, because summer school used to be for kids
I know.
that had needs, and it's not anymore. And that's what makes it so special, that we have these wonderful programs just to extend learning and to
A couple
enjoy
thousand
learning.
kids participating.
Yeah. So
That's-
thank you for saying that. That's so important. And thank you for all you do to make it
Thank you.
exciting learning experience for kids.
I appreciate all your support.
You got it.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Reddy?
All right, I'm over here. I got his
Oh,
attention.
Slow down.
I kind of want to answer Mr. Baumgart's question with how to keep from the summer slide, just from example of my children. 2 of my daughters were in drama. In drama, they wrote their own plays, so they were practicing their reading and their writing skills. They did teamwork because they had to sort out all of, who had what roles. Then they also had to design the layout of the room for the guests to come in. So all of those skills that I know that they were learning throughout the school year were done again in a drama class. So that's one thing. But going off of his question, Amy, where do the course ideas come from? Because I've had parents come to me here and there and say, well, why don't we offer this or why don't we offer that? I was like, I don't know. I don't know who to ask.
Yeah, every year we send out some communication to our teachers within the district and say it's that time. If you're interested in proposing a summer school class, send us your suggestions. And we hope that if they're making a suggestion, they're also saying, yes, I'm willing to teach
Your
that
idea,
course.
your project?
Yes, so we also, our principals have ideas from things they've seen, opportunities and just conversation. We started the newspaper class at Blair just from a conversation that I had with one of the summer school principals. Oh, this would be a good idea, and it's run for a couple of years. So we need interest from a teacher, and then we need interest from students to be able to offer that class. So, and there does have to be that academic curriculum connection that we can make. So that's a DPI requirement. So if somebody has an idea, send it my way.
What about a parent? What if a parent has a
Absolutely.
unique
Absolutely.
idea? Good.
Send it my way.
That's
We are-
great, that we encourage parents then to give us some ideas, because they have a lot of ideas knowing what their kids are interested in.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. So, and I actually have on my list for this next summer a request from a parent. So
Great.
hopefully we can match a teacher and make it happen.
Great.
All right.
Anything else? Mr. Dietz?
I was aware, Amy, of a program at Higher Elementary School that you had, summer program for kids in special education programs that allowed them to, the continuation of their IEP and meeting the goals in their IEP, which I thought was extremely innovative and very unique. I haven't heard of that in a district before, but it allows for that continuation of work towards achieving those IEP goals, which I think is really awesome and commendable. And really excited and really happy that this district offered that for the students that were able to take advantage of it.
We had a number of students participate.
Good.
Excellent. Anything else?
Yes, just one more comment of me. You know, just another example of what makes our school district so great. You know, I've got grandkids in other school districts, and, you know, of course, they think they're the greatest too, but I know what we offer that they don't offer that makes our school district so great. So keep up the great work. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thanks.
Alrighty, we have come to our final information item of the evening. Our new AP Environmental Science course. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
For coming.
All right, so we'll do some quick introductions here. My name's Dan Kieser. You know me, Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning.
I'm Mary DiMaggio. I teach at Waukesha North, AP Bio and Bio.
I teach the same at Waukesha West. I'm Ellie Stigler.
So what we're bringing to you today is just the first of kind of a three-part series with our curriculum design process. So today we're giving you kind of a 1,000-foot overview. Next month we'll provide you with kind of a framework of what the class is going to look like and answer some more questions. And then in November we will ask for formal approval of the course. So you'll have a couple of opportunities to ask questions and dig into the material. So to kick us off here, and I'm going to do very little talking during the presentation, but I wanted to set a frame here and with this quote, which is really from the National Environmental Education Foundation. They did a study back in 2015, and this quote really stuck out to us as we were talking about this proposal, and you'll hear from Ellie and Mary about their ideas around this. The scale and pace of our societal environmental changes demands a system, when we put in this idea of a course, that would provide us with tools, skills, and information that we need to navigate our changing world. And so we believe that the AP Environmental Science course will teach us about these complex systems, our relationships to the environment, and perhaps persuade and inspire us to take that knowledge and turn it into action. So we use that to launch us into why AP Environmental Science. I'll turn it over to my two colleagues here.
So why AP Environmental Science? To me, I have the privilege of being AVID trained the last 2 summers. I did the science strands 1 and 2 in Minneapolis, and just a phenomenal opportunity to have that and be able to implement that into the classroom. I am part of the site team at Waukesha West, and immediately I thought of AP Environmental Science as a course for the AVID student. Just an opportunity for them to get that, we're calling it a stretch class at Waukesha West, to take that AP class that they maybe wouldn't have normally taken. And to me, I just was like, oh, this is gonna be the perfect science AP course for them. With that in mind, at the end of the year last year, I teach half of the freshmen about, we did a survey for them, and at least 50 of them responded that they would be interested in taking AP Environmental Science down the road in the future if it were offered. And it gives them another choice as far as an AP Science course is. As of right now, and I think maybe Dan will talk about that, we just have AP Biology, AP Chemistry, and AP Physics. So another one.
So what is environmental science? It covers a lot of different disciplines and topics. So some of them are ecosystems, pollution, all different types of pollution, land resources, water resources, global change, different energy resources. So students are exploring renewable resources and coming up with solutions and looking at problems in the society and coming up with those. Also, how increasing population impacts in the environment and what kind of solutions they can come up with. And all these are aligned to the College Board website and the standards that are already put in place.
We worked with Erica to help make sure that the alignments were all in there, so.
Some other things for hands-on, the way that this class is designed, it's very hands-on, so very lab-oriented. So students are really getting out there and doing project-based learning, service learning type activities, taking field trips to different places, water treatment, or could be using, Retzer and UWM and a lot of other different places. And also just talking about those topics with Socratic seminars and philosophical chairs and thinking about things a little differently and how they approach the environment and what's happening.
We thought how we could approach it was definitely the partnerships with Waukesha County, the shirts. I can't think of the one in Genesee where that's with Carroll College. I can't think of the name, what they call it now. But that would be an opportunity. And we know they've got the technology with Vernier Pascal probes, which is great with the iPads. And then the hybrid approach would be having a Blackboard site for resources where the kids could go to outside of school, watching a video or doing whatever content they needed to learn so that they can apply it when they get into the classroom.
So when we think about developing a course that both has the classroom, the community approaches, but then also this idea of service learning and perhaps reaching outside of our local community, how might we leverage technology to connect with other leaders around the world, around the United States. We're going to have support with Brian Yearling to help us as we go in this next month of developing the course and thinking about how might these things become reality within the course. And then also thinking about all of our students, Jason Gay and my colleague in Student Services, working to help us have a lens around students with an IEP, as well as touching base with Dee Garcia and thinking about our English language learners and so forth. So there's certainly just not this small team that you see in front of you. There is people that are working alongside us to help think of how can we build a robust AP curriculum. And it fits nicely with the presentation just prior to us talking about the success of the environmental science summer course at EB Shirts, so potentially could see other partnerships that grow out of that opportunity. As was mentioned, this idea of why an AP Environmental Science, and Ellie had talked about the AVID connection. Currently in Waukesha, we have 21 AP courses, so that's a lot of courses. But then you compare it to how many College Board has in its complete repertoire of 38 AP courses. We actually are very fortunate for the number of AP courses that we offer to our high school students. Not only, as Ellie mentioned about engaging students who have not taken the AP course, but with this idea of AP Bio, AP Chemistry, and AP Physics being the only ones in our science repertoire now, this leads them to another opportunity in AP and in science, but then also kind of crossing over into other areas because it's about the application of those skills.
Dan, yeah, this is a question that was in my brain. You just helped straighten out my brain on this. You talk about developing an AP course, but excuse me, the College Board has 38 AP courses. Do they have one in environmental science?
They do have one, and so when we say developing, there are certain outcomes, certain essential outcomes that we have to hit as part of the College Board AP audit, which annually our AP teachers submit their syllabi, and then if there are any changes, they have to resubmit it annually, otherwise it's kind of an annual renewal. So we have to do that, but we still have flexibility within that to make it our own. And
The delivery part of it is still what you people will be putting together to meet
Absolutely.
the standards of the College Board.
right, so you think of the
Excellent.
standards as a floor to developing the course. So we have those minimums to meet, but we're gonna far exceed those minimums.
Oh, that's great. And believe me, this is an important area. You know that. You wouldn't be doing it if you didn't think it was important. But how nice of a coincidence that we just heard from Erica on the summer school program, which is fitting. Was there a plot here? But thank you, very good.
And then, lastly, just to close things out, at the top in our student achievement goals and objectives, it fits nicely within those academic indicators that we're looking at the high school level, so.
Do parents understand, and I'm asking you this because somebody had communicated this to me. Do parents understand that when their students take AP classes, that it does not exempt them from taking courses in college? That these are not courses that are taken by a college or university as part of a major to graduate or part of credits to graduate? Do parents understand that, do you think?
We can never over-communicate the importance of what AP means.
Right.
And that for some colleges, they will, based on if a student decides to take the AP exam and scores a certain score, some colleges will actually exempt students out of certain courses. But it's up to the college how they want to do it. And so we try to educate our families who are with students who are taking AP exams, what that means and where they can go to find out the information.
Good.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Any other questions? Do we have,
Go ahead.
do we have a non-AP environmental science option?
We currently have a semester-long environmental studies course that's offered. And so while it's a semester, this would be a year-long, that's part of that discussion is like, how do these two interact with one another?
Yeah.
So we want to provide options for our students.
It'd be a great class for all levels.
Absolutely.
Mr. Dietz?
Dan, any idea how many AP classes we offer our students compared to surrounding districts?
No, not offhand, but something I definitely can take a look
Or
at.
kind of in the middle of the road, or just a gut
I
feeling?
I would say that we're on the upper half of that.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say that, but I can get that information.
Whatever, yep, thank you.
Yep, good stuff is right.
Very good stuff.
Anything else? No? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Alrighty, that concludes our information items for this evening. Next up is discussion items, which we have one. And that would be advanced placement progress. And Amy is coming back. Doing double duty tonight. Dan as well.
My other hat, the data hat. Oh, excuse me, yeah. I'm good. All right, and you're up.
All right. So advanced placement, again, and perhaps all set up in alignment.
All in the stars. We're aligning.
So not to repeat myself, but again, kind of saying the stage, when we talk about our district goals, our student achievement goals, rigorous coursework is a part of developing our college, career, and community-ready students. And so our academic indicators around this really talk about what we define as rigorous coursework, where AP is right there in the first bullet, but also our dual credit college courses and so forth. College Board does a study in what they call match pairs. So they take a look at the population of students who take AP exams and follow those students and compare them to a cohort group of students who didn't take an AP exam, and in some cases not even an AP course during their high school. And they take a look at the outcomes. And so annually, they do a report, and here are some of the findings that they find in that study. That students who have taken an AP course and taken an AP exam tend to earn higher GPAs in college, even if they don't score at a level that allows them college credit or exemption out of a course. They tend to perform as well or better in subsequent college courses. So advanced placement is based upon entry-level college courses. So when you take an AP Bio course, it is like taking the introductory biology course. If you happen to pass that entry-level course and go into the second course, that's what this bullet's talking. Students who skip a course because of advanced placement in high school tend to do just as well as if someone took the entry-level course and then took that secondary course. As well as the coursework, the persistence rate, so this is students sticking with college during those 4 years, and then graduation rate, all are up there. So what does it really mean when we talk about advanced placement in a score? Oftentimes you'll hear families talk about, my child scored a 4 or 5, and immediately our brains kind of think of an A through F scale. But really, College Board looks at it at a much different level. They take a look at where students would be passing with a C or better in that entry-level course, and they scale it back to their AP exam, and they say that's our middle of the road. That's what we call qualified, college qualified. And then they move up from there. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, in their study, even students who score a 2 on an AP exam are still reaping all of those benefits, which tells you it's about the course and the coursework that we expose our students to that gives students those additive benefits when they reach college. And that's why we offer the AP courses, because not only is it high engagement, it's also high rigor, and it's preparing them for those post-secondary opportunities that they can make the choice. And then, as I mentioned earlier in the question, colleges and universities will grant credit and placement based on the scores. And actually, if you wanted to go look, if you go to the College Board website and log in to the student section, they actually have an entire website. You just type in any school, college, or university, and it will tell you what their policies are for advanced placement, from credits awarded to if they offer advanced standing in that college and university.
So how are students doing related to advanced placement in Waukesha? We pulled some enrollment trends, first of all. So by school, here you can see the number of students taking 1 or more AP classes, and we know that many of our students are taking some 3, 4, many AP classes at a time. So this is looking at the 2016-2017 school year, the 2017-2018 school year that just passed, and then the enrollment as it was projected for the 2018-2019 school year, which started today. So we have an overall of 2,299 of our students currently enrolled in an AP class.
What's going on with West?
With students get to sign up for the courses that they want to take. But I will say that with AVID coming into our district and AVID's push for taking the most rigorous coursework that you can, we generally see that schools that implement AVID and West is just starting this year. They just launched today. You see that enrollment trend. So South has been our longest standing AVID school, and you can see that trend. North started back in 16-17, and you start to see that same trend. And so West, we would expect to see the same trend.
In South, are you also including the 2 charter schools?
Correct. We are
Got a
including
lot
the-
of AP out of that, don't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So when we talk about South in this context, we're talking about the 2 academies as part of it, because some of the AP courses they take outside of those academies. Yep. So overall, we see that trend upward. But still, this is that student choice. So students sign up every year for what courses they want to take.
And then our testing trends, so these are the past 3 school years, and you can see by school the number of AP exams that were given. I will say right off the bat that the eAchieve number is artificially low, and that has to do with how we have to sign students up for the test and the location where they take the test. A student may have taken an eAchieve class, or an AP class at eAchieve, but they also take classes at North, and so they self-identify as a North student. So those eAchieve students are figured in somewhere at another school. They just didn't identify themselves for eAchieve for that course. So you can see the change over the 3 years. And in the parentheses, you can see the percentage of tests that received a score of 3 or higher. So we've got a real celebration here, particularly when we look at College Board's national study that they did. You can see it in the box there in the corner. They look at each state and what the average AP test score is, and Wisconsin had 25.5% of their exams scoring a 3 or better. So we far exceed that in many cases.
And so one thing I'll add to what Amy just shared is all of this information that we talk about with College Board, they publish annually on their website. So if anyone anywhere wants to take a look at, you just go to the College Board website, click on AP, and they have a research section. They just call it Class of 2017, and they rank every state. So if you take a look, Wisconsin always ranks within the top 20 of all 50 states. And as you can see, our scores and our percentages exceed what we're doing as a state. So.
And then we looked at the most popular AP courses and exams here in the school district of Waukesha. So on the left side of the chart, you can see by school the top 3 AP courses by enrollment. So you can see where there are similarities and where there are some differences. And then on the right, those are the top 3 exams we give at each high school by student sign up. So again, some commonalities and some differences.
Oops. Some people were reading through.
Yeah. Do we have a lot of students that will take the course but not the exam?
I would say it's
Yes.
yes. There's about a 50% rate in which students will sit and take the exam, and that would be average across all of our 21 courses. Some courses there are more students who will take the exam than others, but
Do we know why that is? I mean, it seems odd to me that you would do that rigor and then not.
Take calculus, AB.
Yeah, I know, and then not take the exam.
History.
yeah. There would be a couple, and one that will. One that sticks out in my mind, and if my colleague Dee were up here, would talk about would be world languages.
Yep.
Because if you're going to college, you'll take a placement test if you take in a world language, and so it becomes a judgment call for the student. Do I want to sit for the exam and do this, or could I get more credits retroactively by taking a placement exam? So there are a host of factors that play into that. And we're not a district that forces students, if you sign up for an AP course, that you must take the AP exam. It's an opt-in option for them,
Right.
which is why the communication around what this means by seeing and taking the exam is so important for the students.
Well, there's also a cost for taking the AP exam, isn't there?
Correct. There's
So
a $94 fee for that.
Right, and then you say it does apply to college, in some colleges?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So that's an advantage of taking it. But do you have to take the AP exam in order to get some credit in some
Correct.
colleges? Okay, that's what I thought.
You have to take the exam here to get the course weighted?
Not anymore. That policy had been changed. So if you take the course, you get the weighted.
Yep.
And so, yes, that's been changed. So where are we going with our advanced placement and the data? So Amy has a series of data WebExes, and specifically we're going to do one around advanced placement on September 28th with principals. But this is, again, one part of a larger professional learning for our principals around data literacy. And we also have planned follow-ups throughout the year, both with administrators and with AP teachers to talk about advanced placement. They all, being an AP teacher, I know when I get my scores, I'm always looking at how many of my students took it, how did they do on it, and then what information I get back. So their opportunity to continue that discussion and bring people together. Couple of previews. You've already heard about environmental science, which we're proposing for the next school year. And this year we have a course that we approved last year. You heard Dee talk about AP dual language seminar. So we will add to our repertoire of courses with that.
Some of our students can just slide right into college, can't they? They have taken a lot of that AP stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Some students are coming in as second semester freshmen, and we've actually had a couple of students earn enough credits over their 4 years that they come in as sophomores. So that advantage to the students is earlier registration than their college peers.
You know, those kids that start out as freshman year taking those advanced placement courses, it would appear that by their senior year, there isn't that much advanced stuff to take. So do we provide them an opportunity to go to local colleges?
Yes.
Yes.
So by state law, we offer a program called the Early College Credit Program.
Okay.
And so if a student, say, let's pick psychology, for
Okay.
example.
Yeah.
They take AP psychology, they absolutely love it, they think, hey, this might be a career. They can take continuing courses in psychology through this. And so we have students who take courses at WCTC, UW Waukesha, and Carroll University.
I thought so.
Yep.
And what about the tuition? They have to pay their own tuition, is that correct?
Nope.
No, we pay that.
Nope. If it's a course that we don't offer in district,
Yes.
We pick up the tuition and costs of the books
Okay.
and course
Okay.
fees. Yep.
I thought so. Wow,
Any other questions or
No,
comments?
this is good stuff.
Good stuff.
good stuff. Many opportunities.
Thank you.
Thank you
Have a
very
great
much.
year.
Very, that ends our discussion items. So next up is other business. Is there any recommendations for future committee meetings? Anybody? No? Well, let us know if you have, right, I know you have suggestions. Ready?
What does she got to say about it?
That's why she's a
Got a
leader.
lot to say.
She's the
Trust me,
boss.
I'm telling you.
She's the boss.
Alrighty, so that concludes our teaching and learning meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is October 2nd in this room at 6 PM. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
Thank you.